So tell me what happened at the hearing yesterday. You were fighting for what, and what was your opinion on that matter?
Yesterday, we were arguing that my client should be released uh, because the circumstances in this case were not likely to reoccur. In juvenile, you have a right to a detention hearing. There are a number of factors such as prior criminal history, amenability to treatment, um, and several of those factors, all of which he meets. The final factor is dangerousness, whether or not this individual would be dangerous in the future if he were released. And the judge believed that he was dangerous.
What was your argument to say that he wasn't dangerous to others in the community? I mean, obviously, people saw what they saw. There was a video that was released showing, kind of him sitting there in that McDonald's. Why would somebody in the community not have to worry about him?
Well, my argument with regards to this case is that according to the police, the theory of the murder is that this individual was killed as a result of sexual assaults that had occurred previously. And those were a very particular set of circumstances which are unlikely to reoccur. So, absent those circumstances, according to the police theory, there would be no reason for this to reoccur.
And you say theory. Why do you say it's theory and not fact?
Well, I mean, the investigation is ongoing, but the fact of the matter is, and I'm sure that you've watched the social media, as have we, and we've conducted a considerable investigation. The allegation is that this murder occurred because the alleged victim in this case had committed a number of sexual assaults and had not been either reported or prosecuted for those, and that he was going to continue to do it if he wasn't stopped.
And what is your client's knowledge of these assaults? Were these assaults done to somebody that your client knows, or was your client just hearing about them on social media and reacted to what they saw?
Well, again, we deny our client was involved at all, but the the occurrences or alleged occurrences were widely disseminated among the youth in this particular school. And in fact, there was videos taken of one of the assaults. That video was disseminated. We have confirmed that it does indeed exist, and we have been able to corroborate through our investigation that two other sexual assaults with young women did occur, um, at least according to them. Of course, he's not, unfortunately, alive to defend himself, but nonetheless, we have obtained, through the course of our investigation, witness statements uh, and that have corroborated from the victims, corroborated these activities. And then the third victim, there is a videotape. I have not seen that videotape, uh, but there's a videotape that is confirmed to have been widely disseminated after the assault. And when I say assault, I'm not saying these were brutal rapes. What I'm saying is the assaults, some of them were by force, but the one that I'm talking about that was videotaped was of a young woman, a teenager, who was not able to consent as a result of intoxication.
Got it. The victim statements you're talking about in these cases, what were some of the things the victims said?
Well, I mean, uh, through the victim, through people who were there at the party, was that Mr. Quick had agreed to take her home because he was sober. She was too drunk to drive. Um, Instead of taking her home, he took her to his house. They had sex. He videotaped it. The next morning, she had no recollection of anything. and that he sent her a copy of the video the next morning, and then sent it to several of his friends.
Does your client have any relation to any of these victims? Boyfriend, just friend, or how does your client know any of these victims?
Um, he does, yes, but so do a number of other people.
Got it. Does your client or did your client know Caleb Quick personally?
He did know Caleb Quick, yes, he did. They were a member of a group of kids that did hang out together um, from time to time. So yes, they did know each other.
Got it. And so yesterday's ruling said that your client, no, they cannot, your client cannot get out. What is the next step now in the case?
The next step is that probation will prepare a transfer hearing report. The district attorney has requested that he be prosecuted as an adult. We're arguing that it should be kept in juvenile court. Probation will do an evaluation and make a recommendation, which the court can accept or disregard.
And do you know when that date is for that hearing?
July 8th, I believe.
Okay, so July 8th. And do you believe you'll hear that day whether or not it will be staying in juvenile court versus adult court?
No, the transfer hearing will take place months after that. It will be a very lengthy hearing. The prosecution will put on witnesses. We will put on witnesses. And there's essentially the main issue is whether or not the juveniles can be rehabilitated in this amount of time. And the court looks at the nature and sophistication of the criminal activity in making that decision also. But the key in this case is that I want to make it clear. I'm not condoning, I'm not justifying what happened to Mr. Quick. It's a tragedy. It's horrible. It shouldn't have happened, but we're dealing with kids that had this occurred months earlier, they would have been ineligible for transfer according to law. They're 16 years old. 16-year-olds make bad decisions. The science shows their brains are not fully developed. They do imaging of teenage brains and they function differently. It's impulsivity and they should be treated differently than adults.
I see. So your argument to the court will be that the juvenile suspect, and do you represent just the male or do you represent them both?
I just represent the male. Jeff Hammerschmidt represents the female.
Okay, got it. So your argument to keep this in juvenile court is that your client is so juvenile that their brain hadn't been fully developed yet, and to try them as an adult is not the right thing to do. Is that right?
Right. I think we were all young once, and we remember the lack of judgment, remember the impulsivity. Science over the last 20 years has documented it via active PET scans, brainwave scans. The brain development is just different. It's they act on impulses rather than thinking things through.
Got it. So then what last question is, then why do you think the judge yesterday did not agree with your argument that this person is not a danger to society, that they felt like, no, that's not true? Why do you think they went that way as opposed to, well, okay, I understand this might have been some sort of revenge or something like that, and I don't believe they are a danger? Why do you think they sided with keeping your client behind bars?
The gravity of the offense, this is among the most serious charges that can be filed. The gravity of the offense, and that's the sole basis for him deciding to not release him.